In the last 48 hours, congressional Republicans have done so much damage to Americans. Here are the 5 truly harmful things that they passed in the last 2 days. All right, number 1, they passed their budget that will add trillions to the national debt and cuts almost $1 trillion in healthcare. So where's all the spending go? The vast majority of the spending goes to tax giveaways to the wealthiest people in America. Number 2, they passed the SAVE Act, which will make it harder for millions and millions of Americans to vote. Instead of making it easier to register to vote, they're making it harder for people to register to vote, particularly women and those serving abroad. If your driver's license does not match your birth certificate, like many married women, it could block you from voting altogether. Number 3, in the middle of all of the chaos around the tariffs and the market crashing, they passed a bill, literally passed a bill to endorse the tariffs and to strip Congress's power to curb the president's tariff authorities in any way. Number 4, they passed a bill stripping the power of federal judges. What this bill does, because all of these federal judges have been ruling against Trump because what they are doing is unconstitutional, so instead of complying with the Constitution and the law, this bill would undermine federal judges and limit their rulings to their local jurisdiction. These are federal judges ruling on federal matters. Number 5, this is one of the cruelest things that they've done. They passed a bill to jack up overdraft fees intentionally. So on your worst day, you can't pay all your bills, you overdraw your account, now your fee could be $100. They eliminated the cap on overdraft fees. Why? For the same reason they're passing this budget, so the people at the top make more money. The only way we're going to stop this is to get a few Republicans to join us. A few in the Senate, a few in the House, that's it. So we need all of the voices we can to help shift public opinion so that we can get the support we need to end this craziness.
There are not even any Republicans left in this hearing. They all left because they don't even want to defend this. But meanwhile, the Speaker is rushing to the floor to pass a budget reconciliation to screw America by passing the biggest tax cut in history on the backs of the American people. WTF? Who's in charge?
This budget, there'll be a small copay for Medicaid patients. Hopefully, that will mean they will use it less. They will give some judgment. I remember when I was in the Air Force and medical care were free, people went there for every little sniffle because they got a free package of pills or something. If you had to pay $5 for that appointment, you might have gone and bought some nasal spray instead of going and taking the time of a doctor or a nurse. So we're hoping that a slight copay will reduce some of the Medicaid use.
They either don't care that millions of American women will be stripped of their right to vote, or that has been their goal all along. Roughly 69 million women, about 25% of eligible voters in our country, have IDs that do not match their birth certificates, usually because they changed their name once they got married. Under this bill, if they don't have a passport, and half of Americans don't, they wouldn't be able to register to vote. Think about that. Tens of millions of women, the backbone of our families and our communities, stripped of their right to vote simply because they got married. Imagine a woman who has voted in every election since she turned 18, who pays her taxes, who contributes to her community. One day she learns that because her name changed when she got married, she is suddenly unable to register to vote in her state. No amount of documentation, no social security card, no marriage license, no previous voter registration will satisfy the requirements of this bill unless she possesses an updated passport or a birth certificate that matches her current name. This isn't just bureaucratic nonsense. It is an outrageous attack on the rights of women across our country.
Today, I introduced an amendment that would have stopped this bill from being implemented unless we could just certify that no eligible married woman would be denied the right to vote. That should go without saying. Republicans blocked it. Let me repeat that. Republicans voted down my amendment that just would have ensured that women who are eligible and registered could still cast their ballot. This puts up to 70 million women at risk of disenfranchisement. 70 million. That's 1 in 4 voters in this country. And the burden will fall hardest on working mothers, caregivers, those juggling jobs and families who have barely a moment to spare. It's outrageous that in the year 2025, more than a century after the 19th Amendment was ratified, we still have to defend a woman's right to vote. But we will, every single day, if that's what it takes, because this is personal. It's for the mom in Gresham who can't afford to take unpaid time off work to go hunt down paperwork. It's for the woman in Hood River whose name no longer matches her birth certificate, who doesn't have the $160 for a passport. Are we really going to tell her she can't vote? Republicans failed to show up for their mothers, their daughters, their wives, and every woman in their life. But we are going to keep showing up, and we're just getting started. We're not going to stop until we build a government where working mothers and families can also
If
thrive.
you're a married woman, you better call your fucking representatives right fucking now. The House just passed the bill to take away your right to vote. If you think I'm lying, go look it up. You better call your senators. You better call your representatives. You better start raising hell. Are you ready to get out into the street yet? Are you ready? Because they're doing it. What rights have they taken? They're doing it. They're doing it. 220 representatives voted in majority to take away a married woman's right to vote. Congratulations, you motherfuckers. Congratulations.
I'm spending today learning about the SAVE Act, and it's not only an issue for women who have changed their names, it's also an issue for people who were born outside of the U.S. but are citizens of the U.S. If you don't already have a valid U.S. passport, I don't think you'll be able to vote, because everything in this requirement shows that you have to prove that you were born in the U.S. So if you don't have a passport, get one really, really quick.
One of the most dangerous bills that passed this week was a no rogue rulings by the House, the Republican House. The whole point of the bill is to strip the judges, federal judges, from their authority, therefore weakening the checks and balances that our government has. The reason why they're doing this is because they disagree with what the judges are saying. So instead of supporting democracy and following the procedure, going to appellate court and so on, they made changes to this to limit the authority of a judge. So one of the things they did is, well, two basic things that they have. One of them is that if there is a case that affects different states, now they're going to have a 3-panel judges that are going to do it, which sounds fair enough. However, if there's a disagreement with the ruling, it goes straight to the Supreme Court. Why the Supreme Court? You can answer that question yourself. And the second part of it is the most important, because it's the one that limits the authority of the judges. So for 250 years, we've had judges and checks and balances, and the judge can, have a national injunction. However, now, because it's this administration, it is special. So they get mad when something like that happens. So now that is going to be limited. A federal judge will have no authority to issue nationwide injunctions. That is one of the most dangerous bills they've passed, because this not just creates a precedent, but it also weakens the checks and balances of the government and gives free range to whatever the Trump administration wants to do. So who is to stop them now? We know the Supreme Court's not going to do it. So that's where we are. I'm Alex. This is my rant, and I'm out.
The thing about Joe Biden that I was never really a fan of is that the way that I looked at him, he was always a corporate Democrat. And I think that as I look a little deeper into that, it's because for him, the working class people were suits. They were office people. They were white collar people. Those were the working class who he supported, which put him kind of in favor of corporatism and capitalism, because he wanted those type of businesses and those type of people to succeed and be successful. And I think towards the end, he saw that was less working class, or He understood that the working class people in the offices and the suits weren't in the C-suite anymore. There were people in middle management, there were people on the ground level, and some blue-collar people. And I feel like he truly did try to make some corporate reform for average Americans by trying to rein in the billionaires a little bit. One of the things that he did that was a small thing but had a big impact was just capping overdraft fees from bank. I remember when your overdraft fee used to be $35. You overdraft your account by 7 cents, you get overdrafted $35. And he capped that at $5. And Republicans just reversed it.
So the SAVE Act passed through Congress, along with the budget resolution that Speaker Mike Johnson could not get passed yesterday. So when you're sitting at home going, why is nobody doing anything? You know, why is Congress not stepping up? Why are these people continuing to support the craziness of what's going on? I can't help but think they are absolutely being threatened. Like threatened in a way that is forcing them to comply. Because yesterday a vote is canceled because about 10 to 15 Republicans say they're not gonna say yes. A day before that, there was a giant argument that led to somebody looking at Mike Johnson and saying, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. That was probably because they found his Grindr account. But then today, all of a sudden, the votes pass. Nothing in the bills are changed. Nothing has been altered, but the votes pass. So what is the difference? If you are a constituent with Republican leadership, this should absolutely concern you. It should concern you that you are being represented by somebody in Congress who is not fighting for you. They're fighting to preserve their career, get closer to power, or just avoid conflict. Oh, and that SAVE Act that just passed through the House, if it passes through the Senate, do you know who that is going to hurt disproportionately? Republican voters. It is. Because, you know, those people you say come into this country and vote illegally, they 9 times out of 10, they vote red. Just go back and look at the polling results from the last election, from 2024. Those people who you have such an issue with coming in here and voting, vote for you. And the women who have probably gotten married, taken their husband's last name, 51% of those women voted for your guy. So once again, do we see how flawed these highly prejudiced ideologies are? When history looks back on what destroyed conservatism, what destroyed the Republican Party, it will be moments like these that they reflect on. Them taking their own rights away because they thought it would only affect Black and brown people. This is why I say if you have a Republican representative, you should be concerned. They are setting themselves up to lose in a major, major way come the midterms and ultimately 2028.